Well, if you cannot have a good relationship with your family, you cannot have a good relationship with your neighbors. It is just hypocritical and it's not going to work. If African countries cannot have a good relationship with one another, they will never have a good relationship with somebody else outside. And that is the problem. Why Africa's relationships, they don't work. Because we ourselves as Africans, we don't know how to do relationships. We don't know how to commit ourselves in the relationships. We don't know how to unite ourselves, and we don't know how to sustain that. Yes, it is the time to unite our people, to sustain that, and to set our priorities in order before we jump it. Brics is another big mistake that Africa is about to do. And if you don't see that, I'm afraid that you don't know what your priority is. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Swahili Nation 1 Africa. And today, I want to talk about something that I know a lot of you might not agree with me. Because I've seen how much Africans are excited with a new project called Brics. How a lot of Africans are commenting and tweeting and just want it to see it happen as soon as possible. I know South Africa is already part of that, but most of Africans have been talking and pushing, feeling like this has to be the new thing for all Africans to join. Maybe this will be the way out to beat Americans, to beat other organizations or Europeans that are constantly for so long, for so many years, took advantage of Africa. Maybe this will be the time for the liberation of Africa. And so I see the focus diverge. I see the desire of Africans deep inside their heart to see change through anything that is out there that will promise to bring that change. Then I see everybody just jumping into it and want to see it happen. But I'm afraid that I don't feel the same thing. And I'm afraid that I am totally against Brics. And maybe you're asking yourself that, oh, who are you? Even if you're against Brics, then it's gonna be done anyways. But I'll tell you the reason why I think Brics is a bad idea for Africa right now. For so long time, before independence and soon after the independence, we have seen Africa engaged herself with different kind of organizations. Well, we have United Nations, the organization that was already formed even before some of our countries got independence. And so we were basically out of that picture. We have seen organizations like IMF. We have seen organizations like World Bank. We've seen a different kind of organization out there that they are operating. They've been operating way before even Africa gained its independence. And today we are fighting for the new monetary financial system. We are fighting for basically for the seats in the United Nations Council. We're fighting for all these things to be recognized in the international sphere. Why? Because now we are already independent and we wish and we know deep inside our heart that we deserve a seat. We deserve to be heard. We deserve to be on the decision to make some decision table. We deserve to make contribution. And so we are seeing the horizon and a rising of our leaders fighting for the rights of Africans, fighting for Africa to be where it belongs, to be where it meant to be, fighting and blankly saying that, hey, we're not beggars. We're not here to beg for money, but we're here to ask for equality. And that fight that you see today, President William Ruto of Kenya, President Ramaphosa of South Africa, Kagame, and so many other presidents in Africa who are fighting for all these things. They're not the first people to fight for it. We have our forefathers who fought for independence and fought for everything else we see today. So why do I think BRICS is a bad idea for Africa? Because I think the priority for Africa is not to find another new exciting organization or another organization to join to form collaborations and partnership with against the West or against any other organization there. I think we're losing a focus. The focus is not Africa to prove to the Americans that we can actually join any other organization and be fine without you. The focus of Africa is not to join another organization to tell European or European Union that, you know what, we are able to form another partnership, new partnership, and just do just fine. So you find Africa today, they're in Turkey trying to form relationship. You find today they're in Russia trying to form another relationship, or India or China or any other part of the world. So you see yourself as Africa wandering around, try to go everywhere to find the true meaning of who you are and where you want to be. But then we're forgetting one thing. We're leaving behind one very crucial and important thing that Africa should always focus on. Africa should always pick this as a priority, as number one priority, second priority, and third priority. And that is unity of Africa. I'm telling you this, even if Africa will join BRICS, all the countries in Africa will be part of this organization, Africa will not see another bright day because we are not united. The problem of Africa is not about these all organizations. The problem of Africa is about division. If we do not realize that our power is in the unity, is in the one Africa, then we're not going to see another bright day tomorrow. Because all these organizations, they always come and start with a good intention, but end up with a bad intention. So imagine you have Chinese in the BRICS, you have Russia in the BRICS, you have Brazil in the BRICS, you have South Africa in the BRICS, and you have other countries in the BRICS, and you need also the entire continent of Africa to go into the BRICS, even without considering that before joining the BRICS. Maybe we should focus on uniting ourselves first. Maybe we should focus on bringing our people together first before jumping into any new relationship. Africa has been in a toxic relationship for a long time. And it is sad to see Africa jumping from one relationship to another relationship again and again and again. This is not a solution to Africa's problems. This is not the solution to Africa's issue. This is not the solution to Africa's poverty. The leaders of Africa must realize and know that the solution to Africa's problem is for all of them to come together and to have that unity we've always been wanting. Not in 2063, but to have it today. I believe it is possible. Our leaders, they always meet at Addis Ababa, the African Union, to discuss, to talk about these things, why they cannot decide to come together and to form and to unite, to have this strong bond unity with our countries. Why they do not want to agree that it's a time to remove all these borders in Africa and live and have a free trade in Africa and leave our people jumping from another country to another country, maybe to visit, maybe to tour. But why don't we have the free movement of our people inside the continent? Why our people, our leaders cannot decide it's the time for us to have a one currency? Why is not a time for leaders to decide that we need to have one passport? We need to have one army. We need to have one phone code for the entire continent of Africa. Why is not that? And why the topic should be about BRICS? I don't think BRICS is bad at all, but I think it's a bad timing. I think this is not a time for Africa to focus on BRICS. I think it's a time for Africa to focus on herself, on how to improve herself, how to solve her issue, and how to bring our people together before we jump into any other relationship out there. I think we should decide what is our priority. Our priority should not be to find another organization or to join another organization. The priority of Africa, it should be to unite her people. But well, so you find everybody's very excited with this new project BRICS. And everybody cannot wait the next forum that is coming to South Africa. Everybody's excited about it. But we're forgetting one thing. The only one thing that is important for our continent. What is my suggestion? My suggestion is Africa should first and foremost focus on uniting her people, uniting her countries, uniting everything else that we have in this continent. Because if we are united, we're going to come to realize that sometimes we don't even need this organization to operate. You're going to come to realize even our negotiations are going to change once we are united. You're going to realize that even our stand into this organization is not going to be us going to ask to be part of it. It's not going to be about us going and ask the United Nations seats at the council. It's not going to be about that, but it's going to be them finding us, asking us to be part of it. Why? Because unity is power. And Nyerere said in 1963 that without unity, there will be no future for Africa. The future that we want, the future that we are fighting for, it will not be there if we are not united first. First and foremost, that should be the only priority of Africa. And I want to advise my fellow Africans, both in the diaspora and in the continent. I want to advise you guys, let your focus be the unity of Africa. Let your focus be shouting for the unity of Africa day and night, because that is what we really need. We truly need to see the change in this beautiful continent. Without unity, we're not going to see change. Brics is not going to bring change. UN is not going to bring change. EU is not going to bring change. Any other organization out there is not going to be changed. We should focus on reform our African Union, reform our government structures, reform our education system, reform everything that we have, in order to have that one Africa we want. That should be our topic. That should be our focus. And this is what I wrote. I think I will tweet later on for other people to see. I know a lot of Africans are excited about Brics, but I am not. I think it's a big mistake, us moving on to the next relationship without figuring out why we failed the previous ones and fixing the problem before doing anything else. Africa does not need a new savior or new organization or a new partnership. Africa needs to set her things in order and bring her 55 children together before jumping on to the next exciting thing. The only thing to excite Africa must and should be unity. And we have to do it on our own. We don't need anyone to stay at the middle to uniting Africa, because we don't want credits to go to anybody but us. Whatever relationship we are forming, either with Chinese or Russians or Turkish or Indians, will never work on our favor unless we are one. We must set our priorities in order rather than fixing our eyes on them. The first, second, and last priority for Africa should and must be unity of Africa. Any other agenda will not do any good to us until we are one Africa. Any other agenda will not do good to us until we are one Africa. Where should our focus be? Our focus should be to unite our people, not these organizations, guys. Guys, I'm recording this today. You tell me a couple years later, 10 years or 20 years, if this is what we're going to pursue, you tell me the outcome of it. Ask yourself why this is so important right now. Africa, before joining any other organization, should unite first and then go demand it. You have Chinese. They have more than 1 billion people there in that organization. What about Africa? You have South Africa, the only country, and other countries they want to join too. Why don't we choose to unite with ourselves? Why do we have to go outside there to bring inside here and to bring other countries together in the Brics and to unite ourselves through the organization that is out there, instead of coming together as one people's Africa, uniting ourselves, sitting down ourselves and demand that one Africa we want, we desperate one, and then moving on to another relationships? Well, if you cannot have a good relationship with your family, you cannot have a good relationship with your neighbors. It is just hypocritical and it's not going to work. If African countries cannot have a good relationship with one another, they will never have a good relationship with somebody else outside. And that is the problem. Why Africa's relationships, they don't work. because we ourselves as Africans, we don't know how to do relationships. We don't know how to commit ourselves in the relationships. We don't know how to unite ourselves, and we don't know how to sustain that. Yes, it is the time to unite our people, to sustain that, and to set our priorities in order before we jump it. Brics is another big mistake that Africa is about to do. And if you don't see that, I'm afraid that you don't know what your priority is.